and God bless South Africa.
Mr. President, guests, colleagues from 91, ladies and gentlemen, and we have to start by just giving the President, in addition to Palisa's welcome, a proper cheer. Thank you, Mr. President. We will open proceedings, and Werner, this is not a rugby game, with the national anthem of South Africa sung by the very talented Talita Laters.
Quasi sekeleli Afrika, malu paganizu pondolwayo, izwa imitanda zoyetu, quasi sekelela tina lusa pulwayo. Sounds the call to come together and united we shall stand. Let us live and strive for freedom in South Africa. Thank you.
Mr. President, welcome to our new home. And if I may just interrupt myself, we have many of our colleagues from abroad here, some from countries that play against South Africa at rugby. This is why it's very hard to beat South Africa. May I welcome you to an office which is a bit of an act of faith. We were very privileged that you joined us for our 30th anniversary as 91, and you kindly agreed to the guest speaker, and you were the highlight. When we turned 35, literally on the day that we moved into this building, there was consensus. We need to mark the event. We need to do something special. And everybody said, please get the president back. That is not so easy. So we really appreciate that you made the time, in spite of the Chinese vice president being here, in spite of political duties, in spite of all the other things you have to deal with. Because many people in the room here don't know that. The president once was a client. He was actually a chairman of a trustee board to which we had to report many times during mostly good performance, but there were some tough moments. And let me tell you, there are very few chairs who give you as decent a hearing as this president has given us. So you have a special place from your time as chairman of Sasria in our business. But more importantly, this building was an act of faith. If you remember 2 years ago, even the beginning of last year, there was an extremely negative narrative on South Africa. And 91 being what it is, a company that started in South Africa as a startup but built a global footprint to today. And I just worked the calculation. I hope there's nobody from the media, and if you're here, you're not allowed to report it. But if you do the maths of the Sanlam acquisition we made last year, plus market growth, plus where the currencies are now, we're approximately 4 trillion rand of other people's money, much of which is from South African, not the majority, but much of which is from South African savers, and much of which is invested in South Africa or internationally on behalf of South Africans. So when we had the conversation about last year, about the country, about who we are, we committed, in fact, it was 2 to 3 years ago, to reinvest in our South African headquarters, which is in Cape Town, and to do it properly. That was at a time when lots of people said, oh, you know, there's no electricity, and where's the water, and all of that. We did that. We then, when the world was really negative beginning of last year, we agreed, which we announced only later, we acquired Sanlam Investment Management, or their asset management business, which means in the last year we spent approximately, if you take the value of the investment in this business, which is just under R1 billion, and 5 billion rand on a new business in this country. Things have improved. A.D. Eindhoven gave a wonderful speech last year at Stellenbosch where he talked about the corner. I don't know how big the corner is or where it is, but the momentum is definitely much better. And this president's reform program is a really important one. And because we're all about investing for a better tomorrow, because that's what 91's about, in a world of change, we encourage you, Mr. President, to speed up that reform, to do the things necessary so we can get out of the grip of unemployment, we can get back to 3% plus economic growth, and then this business will fly even more and the country will prosper even more. And that's why we wanted you here, because we wanted to tell you we are right behind you. And we want you to look at the various scenarios the countries face. And in fact, the Bureau of Economic Research has done an excellent job with many business people giving input, many people, even people from, you may not know it, from your own office, Mr. President. And we're going to give you what will be released tomorrow, which says yes.
Not that I do that often. As I looked at it and I kept saying, is this the one we've been looking for expropriation without compensation? But Hendrik, you'll be pleased to know when I saw 91 name going up, I said, no, not this one. I just said, no, with this one we exclude. So we'll keep looking elsewhere. And we don't want to, Hendrik, expropriate other people's money. There's too much money here. And I could smell the money as I came in. I could smell it. And when I touched your hand, I felt we really have money here. So thank you very much for having me here, and it's a real joy. In many, many ways, I am, how old am I now? I'm 30-something now. I have walked part of my journey in life with this company, and having known Hendrik for many, many years, having seen him get started with this company, and being given the unbelievably wonderful mandate to go and start 91. So today, in many ways, we are not just opening new offices. I see this as a great investment worth R1 billion, but worth much more because of all of you who are here. And as I often meet people in financial services, I often tell myself that these are clever people. These are not Baris. They are very clever. They use their brain to make a living. And this is a great investment of a building and also a company. It signals a long-term commitment to our country, but also, more importantly, to our country's future. It is a tangible as well as demonstration of confidence. And I'm rather glad, Hendrik, that you did say, even in the times of turmoil, your company has always been focused and has had confidence and faith in our country. The national ambition has always been there. And we thank you for continuing to have the level of confidence and faith. We are a developing market, but your company makes us be a heavyweight in many ways. And we are glad that South Africans continue to have their money well managed by 91, as well as people from other locales. And we are here also to celebrate your 35 years of existence as an unmistakably and proudly South African business with a global footprint. As you correctly said, I just had a meeting with the Vice President of China, and some of the issues we discussed was our ongoing strategic investment in each other through the strategic partnership that we have, that they will continue investing in us as a country, and we, through our various businesses, will continue investing in them. So 91 was, as it was founded at the cusp of our democratic change. As our democracy has evolved and matured, this company has also continued to grow and to mature. So 91's journey has been a story of innovation, of creativity, and developing homegrown South African talent and spreading it around the world. I've often said, and it was John Reader who wrote the book, The Africa, the biography of a continent, and he said, due to the talent that was grown in Africa, those humans who left the continent went around the world to develop further talents in other locales of the world, and through the gifts and the talents they had, they finally also landed a man on the moon. So the talent that resided in people like you, Hendrik, and many others from South Africa has made this a global company. And you are, together with your colleagues, to be applauded that in you we have a South African-born and made company that now straddles various parts of the world. And going to China is going to be another objective that you also have to win. 91 success reflects the abundance of local expertise in our country, as well as the strength of our financial services sector as a key pillar of our economy. What you all do here is make a contribution as actors, employees, managers, leaders of the financial services sector. You provide, through this sector, direct and indirect employment to nearly 3 million South Africans, and you contribute up to 25% of corporate income taxes in our country. That is a massive contribution. Your sector also accounts for more than 1/5 of our GDP, and in 2025 was one of the leading drivers of growth in our country. Where growth has been lacking, the financial services sector has been one of the key drivers of the economic growth, meager as it has been in our country. And the depth and sophistication of our financial markets is one of our most important strengths as a country, underpinned by the independence of our central bank, the Reserve Bank, and a robust and an enabling regulatory environment. And this is one aspect of the South Africa's broad national architecture that I'm very proud of. As we go around the world, if there's an industry that we are proud of that continues to grow, it is the financial sector. Of course, we are proud of the sectors that contributed to the growth of our economy in the beginning, the mining sector, the agricultural sector, and now the tertiary sector, which is part of your sector, is the important one. It plays an important role in financing development in our economy, from investing in African businesses to build the infrastructure of our country. And I'm delighted to hear that even the money that you put in place to acquire the Sanlam business, it adds up to the other money that you continue investing here. In times like these, when the global economy faces significant instability and uncertainty, we can rely on the strength of our financial system to withstand disruption and to absorb the shocks that are given rise to by the wars that are being waged in the Middle East. And we will keep working to grow our financial sector, to modernize as well as to strengthen our regulations, and to position ourselves as a premier global destination for financial services firms to locate their African and emerging market operations here. Now, despite the current headwinds, we gather here at a time of hope for our country. There are many, many reasons to be optimistic now about our country and its prospects, and also to believe that the economy is indeed turning a corner. We have experienced for consecutive quarters of GDP growth, national debt has stabilized, and we have generated a primary budget surplus for 3 consecutive years. Now, we've got a very renowned journalist here, who I shall not name, who this few days wrote, when she was writing about the economy, she said, it's politics stupid, politics stupid. Maybe she was beaming that message to me or to us, but I say to her, it's the economy stupid. It's the economy stupid, and investments. Across the world, investors are looking at South Africa now with renewed interest as an emerging market with strong institutions, And the issue about institutions is very key and critical. Without disclosing what we discussed in Cabinet, Hendrik, today we had occasion to meet with the Public Protector, as well as with the Auditor General. They were making presentations to us as Cabinet. I was filled with great pride when I heard them say, we operate independently, without favor, without prejudice, and we execute what our constitutional principles have outlined. Both of them saw us separate from each other, and they articulated the same message. And I said to myself, this is what part of bringing about the new dispensation was all about, to have strong institutions that will act without any fear, unlike what is happening in other parts of the world. Now, tangible improvements in our economy and in our performance that we are experiencing now are the result of sustained multi-year effort to reform our economy and to fix what was broken. And what was broken has taken a while to put together again. As they say in the classics, it's very easy to break something, but much more difficult to put it back together and to rebuild. And that is the process that we've been going through. And many people, admittedly, have been impatient. They wanted everything to be fixed yesterday. And yet it does take time. And things are becoming more and more aligned. They are becoming repositioned through the reforms that we are going through. For instance, the crippling electricity crisis took time to address. It took time to realign our power stations, to maintain them properly, because somehow some instruction had been given, just focus on keeping the lights on, don't bother about maintenance. And that seemed to have been a culture that permeated much of what we did in government. And of course, there was a very, very big underlying culture of corruption as well. But maintenance and looking after assets that support our economy was not the order of the day. And to turn those things around and that culture around has taken time. But there was a time when many South Africans lost hope and thought, will we ever see the end of load shedding? But we have now ended it. Investments are on the rise, and the economy is creating more jobs. Many people never thought that we would have attracted well over 100 billion rand of investment, real investments in the ground in renewable energy. Now, as you go around the Northern Cape, the Eastern Cape, and the Cape, including Mpumalanga, you now see renewable energy installations. This is part of the reform to make sure that we get rid forever of load shedding in our country and have a surplus. Many never thought that we would transform and reform Eskom in the way that we have, where we break it up into 3 separate components, a job that is still underway. We have implemented far-reaching reforms in that sector to enable what? To enable private investment and more, and to move forward with the restructuring of Eskom. And when there are still people who still question, why did you do it? Was it necessary to do it? And I often say to them, are you alive to the risk that we all had in having one company just generating electricity on its own? The risk of monopolies is something that we should all fear. Competition is good for an economy, and competition is also good for people and individuals. I think in your own lives, even as you sit at your desk, you know that you are competing with other people, and you may smile at them, but down deep eyes to invest in infrastructure. There's no free drinks or anything. I came here for a purpose. I came for your money. And I never give free speeches, most, except when I'm wearing a T-shirt, electioneering. Whenever you see me give a speech, I want something. So I'm also here because I want something in return. Now, through the various changing of regulations to once again bring back the PPP process, the public-private partnerships, which had been made to lie fallow for quite a while. Having built the N4, the N3 through PPPs, we kind of put it in the shelf. We are now bringing it back, changing the regulations to enable private sector money to be brought into infrastructure build. In the end, we also need to stabilize our transmission grid, the electricity grid, and we're going to need massive amounts of money, 450 billion rand. It is the private sector that we will want to attract to come and invest in our transmission lines. And we have brought stability to key state-owned enterprises that used to rely on bailouts. We're stabilizing them. Last year, we achieved more than 2 major milestones. Our first sovereign debt credit rating upgrade in nearly 20 years. You, as 91, would have been one of those who must have been overjoyed when our credit rating was improved. And also our country's removal from the Financial Action Task Team grey list. Those were major achievements which took a long time for us to work on. The private sector shares credit for the economic progress that we are witnessing. My sister here, Ms. Mabuza, is one of those people that we interface with at the private sector level. And they contribute a great deal and work with government. We are one country where our partnership with the private sector is quite well developed. We're able to literally work together on a number of fronts and in a number of areas. And all our efforts have been driven by this one simple conviction that we can achieve much more when we work together. We have sought to change the culture of government to build a government that is more open, much more transparent, more willing to engage, to listen, and to collaborate with others. Now, institutions like 91 are key in working with us to mobilize capital for our nation's development. And your commitment to South Africa is what we rely on to help us mobilize the resources that we need. The economic progress that we have made signals to the world that South Africa is not only open for business, but firmly on the path of recovery. With its long and established presence at home, combined with your global footprint, 91 can play that critical role of adding muscle to our efforts. So your company stands as proof that more than ever before, you have what it takes to put forward a good and a positive narrative about our country across the world, and we thank you for that. And so we say once more, congratulations in opening this building that looks so beautiful, and all of you, I'm sure, will be so well motivated. Your morale should go up when you work in such a beautiful building. Now, if I were to work here, I tell you, the performance would go way up. So you are lucky to be working here. So thank you very much. And the last word is at the end of the month, Hendrik, we're having this investment conference. We're inviting a number of companies to come, and already Alistair Reuters, who's really running with it, and the Department of Trade, Industry and Competition, keep telling me that they are inundated with numbers of companies that want to come and invest. but not only invest, but also to come and announce the investments that they want to make. Now, that demonstrates that indeed we have turned the corner. Investments are beginning to flow into the country, and we should be on target to raise our 2 trillion rand in the next 5 years of investments. You obviously will be part of bringing in that contribution to get us to 2 trillion rand. Otherwise, I could come back to this company, come back and not nationalize it, but talk to you. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm not thanking the president because Buzi Mabuza, our lead independent, will do it after we have unveiled the plaque. So we're walking, but while we're walking that way, the president is used to dealing with other presidents who do deals. So there's a deal on the table. Speed of reform and quantum of money, Mr. President. That's the deal. Thank you. You go. Sorry. Corina will pull it. You just look at it. This will be put up in a very special place in the office, but tonight we wanted everybody to see. And we need to put your full name in, sir. I see.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, as you charge your glasses, I shall read the inscription that is on this plaque. And it reads 91, 36 Hans Radom Avenue, officially opened by His Excellency, President of the Republic of South Africa, Mr. One correction from my side, Matamela, Cyril Ramaphosa, 25 March 2026.